Hi everyone, my name is Isabella from Sports Community, and today I'm joined by Nash, our Sports Community intern. We have a very special guest of honour today, Ayden Shaw from Disability Sport and Recreation. Now, Ayden, thank you so much for coming on board and joining us today. Would you please start off by just introducing yourself a little bit and giving us a little bit of background on your role at Disability Sport and Recreation?
Absolutely. And Isabella and Nash, thank you for having me today. So my role is I'm the Program and Events Manager at Disability Sport and Recreation. My background is a dual Bachelor of Psychology and Sports Science. So people often get confused with how I work in the disability sport space, but I was very fortunate when I was sort of a student to do a number of placements and activities with Cricket Australia, Cricket Victoria and the Western Bulldogs. And that sort of lit a passion for inclusion, I guess, and supporting those with social disadvantage. And then, as you often do, when I graduated, rather than go straight into full-time work, I went with my wife to Europe for 6 weeks. And effectively, while I was over there, I had an email from Cancer Council Victoria saying, Relay for Life event, non-profit, would you like to work with us? And I thought it was spam and deleted it, but it ended up being, I became a Relay for Life coordinator for 1.5 years and actually delivered Relay for Life events, left the sports sector completely, and then was really fortunate to meet our CEO, Richard Amon, at an event. And he said, I might have some work coming up for you. And there was a role that became available, and that's became my role. And with what I do a day to day, I support people with disabilities to be active. Within the organisations, I'm responsible for our membership, all our programs front-facing, and also all our partnerships, and a lot of stakeholder relationship and stakeholder building.
That's awesome, mate. So thank you again for joining us today. If you could please delve into and provide an insight into disability sport and recreation as a whole for those who may not have heard of the organisation.
Absolutely. So Disability Sport and Recreation has been around for 59 years. We say 59 years because next year is our 60th birthday. And we're actually known as the birthplace of the Victorian Paralympic movement. So we're actually the Paravic Sport Club. Our organisation now has transitioned to, we work across all disability types and all sports. So in essence, what our role is we play a collaborating role in the sector. We work with a range of different organisations to support people with disability to be active. And that can range from activities like major events alongside kids camps. We do research projects with universities and other partners as well. And then we're actually the registered state sporting association for wheelchair rugby, the sport and that program as well. So we do a lot, and in between all that, we've been really fortunate to bring on a range of staff recently to support the COVID response for disability sport and recreation as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, Ayden. We understand that you have a very special event coming up on Friday, the Disability Sport and Recreation Festival for 2021. Could you please outline a little bit about what that event is and what the day is going to look like for those who are fortunate enough to attend?
Well, it's nice, Isabella, to say it's a face-to-face event because for so long we've been having to do things virtually. So the Victorian Disability Sport and Recreation Festival, it's an annual event that we do at Crown Riverwalk. So right along the foreshore of Crown, it's a beautiful spot. And it's a one-stop shop for accessible opportunities for people with a disability to try. And it mirrors as an information sharing exercise as well. So the way that it would typically look is we have a range of activity zones that people can try different activities. This year we've actually got for the first time an AFL activity zone. So AFL wheelchair and a range of AFL clubs delivering come and try activations. And then there's other events that happen throughout the day, which is all about that celebration of all people with disabilities. So we have the Special Olympics Torch Run. For those that haven't seen that before, Law Enforcement Torch Run Victoria have a torch that they bring down to the games. So they actually they have an office in Southbank, and there's around 70 Victoria Police staff, Special Olympic athletes that come down and light the cauldron of hope. In between that, we then also have a corporate wheelchair challenge. So anyone on their lunch break, I encourage you to come down from 11:30 to 12:30, where we have a number of teams that play AFL wheelchair and play for our corporate wheelchair cup. We then also have wheelchair rugby as a come and try. And we've got this year 26 exhibitors, which a couple of weeks ago, we were a little bit worried just with numbers. We thought we may not have a huge amount of exhibitors. And then the last week, it seems like everyone wants to be an exhibitor. So each exhibitor will have a stall that a person with disability or anyone that's coming to the event has the chance to go and interact with them, find out a little bit more about their organization. And it's really an information sharing exercise, because what we find is for people with disability, particularly in the space we play in the sector, it's very difficult to know where information is, and it's very difficult to know where to start. So what we try to do with the festival, we bring all the different partners together and we say, for anyone, this is how you get involved in our sector. These are the activities that are available in your local area. And then we've also got a number of non-sport providers there too. So this year we've got Higher Up, Mabel, disability service providers, equipment providers. It's just about providing as much information to people with disability as possible, alongside the great chance for people to connect face-to-face, network, and it's a free, accessible event. That's the really key. And we're really lucky with a partnership with City of Melbourne that we've been able to really build on the accessibility of the event over the last few years. So Vision Australia Radio, they'll be broadcasting the event live, so those that might be visually impaired or blind can feel and see and hear the day. And then we've also got other sort of accessibility measures in mind. So yeah, it's really exciting to have another face-to-face event, but we're seeing there's so much interest in the event, but there's so much interest in disability sport in general for International Day of People with Disability.
It's awesome, mate. It sounds like it's going to be a very good day, and I would definitely encourage everyone to get down. So alongside your festival, what other exciting initiatives or events are happening at DSR both now and as we head into the new year?
Yeah, well, it's been actually quite a busy time for us recently. So recently we have started a disability advisory committee. So we really want to change the perception of our organisation. We've always been known as very physical disability focused in terms of how we interact with our stakeholders and members. And so this advisory committee is a chance to ensure that we've got lived experience within not only our staffing, but also within our actual governance and advisory. So we've got 9 people that have said they're going to become part of our advisory committee. So that's really exciting for us. Wheelchair rugby is resuming again next year. So it's a Paralympic sport. We're really lucky to have a great partnership with Paralympics Australia and Rugby Victoria and our partners Protect. So we've got our local competition coming back next year. We've got a new potential franchise tournament for wheelchair rugby that we're going to be part of. In February, our DSR Kids program's back. So we'll be having our annual camp. So there is a lot happening, which is really exciting. But we've got actually something else a lot of other organisations don't have the chance to potentially experience, and that's that we're actually relocating to a brand new building. So we really want to create a disability sport hub that people can come to and actually not only engage with us, but other disability sport organisations. So our office in Fitzroy is being redeveloped, and next year we'll move into a brand new home that we'll be able to run training from. So that's something we're really, really excited for, and just supporting other organisations deliver a number of programs for people with disability to be active.
That's fantastic, Ayden. It sounds like it's going to be a really fantastic year ahead, and it's going to be a lot of fun as well by the sounds of things. I had a question just about, I suppose, as you as an individual, and your organisation, what are your visions for those who do have a disability, and how can we make things a bit more accessible for those having to cope with that as well?
It's a really great question, Isabella. And I think it starts with, for us, it's very simple. We want more people with disability being active. But when we say that, often that people think of just, well, that means that more people are playing sport or playing organised sport. And that's not what it's about for us, because we are sport and recreation. Someone could be painting a picture and that's recreation. So we want people engaging in activities that's meaningful for them. and we don't necessarily dictate what those activities are. But our overall vision is that we've got more people with disability in decision-making roles, more people. So last year we did an employment guide for women with disability in the sport and recreation sector. And the really big learning for that for us is that there actually isn't a lot of lived experience in these positions of leadership, which means that it's very difficult to change the cycles that are in place. So ideally, in 5 years' time, I'd love one of our members, someone that's an athlete, to actually be in a role like mine, where they can change the way we do things and be able to really support people to be active in slightly different ways. Our overall vision is also a more unified sector. And I think that's really critical, that particularly for our sector and people with disability, there's so many different organizations that do things really well. So an example is we might support people with a physical disability, but you've got Special Olympics that might support people with an intellectual disability at a community level, Blind and Deaf Sports Victoria. So there's so many other organizations that all work in our space. So a lot of our vision is to have collaboration and be working together with those organizations to create a better society for people with disability to be active. And for us, that also means more people becoming members of us, which is free, but it just means that we're connecting with more people.
For sure, mate. And I think that that's a vision that we all share, not just in Australia, but around the world. We want to get everyone involved in all these sorts of events and resources. And I think it'll be definitely, hopefully we can get there one day.
I'd love to work with yourselves next year on how we can connect to more members of the sports community.
Sure, mate. Well, we'll wrap up with this final question for today. For those who may be interested in getting involved or want to learn more or support your organisation, how can people actually do this?
Well, the easiest way to do that is to come down to our festival on Friday. I'll put in a cheeky plug there. But on our website, so www.dsr.org.au, I mentioned that membership. So that membership, we have three kinds of membership. We have individual, which is for a person with disability. We have associate, which is for the healthcare sector, for those that support people with disability, and organisation. So for starters, become a member of us, and you'll be across all the information that we're able to provide and the activities that we do. But also, if you want to volunteer with us, we love working with volunteers. Just give us a call and we'll be able to connect you in. Or alternatively, if you're really wanting to connect in with sport, we can help with that too, and get involved in wheelchair rugby.
That's awesome, mate. And well, thank you on behalf of myself, Isabella, and sports community for joining us today, mate. We appreciate the work that you guys do and hope that everyone can get down to your festival on Friday.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been great chatting with you, and thank you for the support.
Thank you for your time, Ayden. We really appreciate it.
No worries.